Hi everyone. Welcome to English Story School. Part 1. How did I get here? Have you ever fallen so hard that the world didn't just go silent? It mocked you in that silence? When the echo of your own breath feels heavier than the weight on your shoulders? When you search the corners of your soul for someone, anyone, but find nothing except your own trembling hands and a heart that forgot how to hope. That was me, not a metaphor, not a poetic exaggeration, just a raw, bleeding truth. I hit rock bottom with such force that it felt like the earth itself turned away from me. There were no dramatic explosions, no loud endings, just a slow, steady collapse. First, my job, the one I didn't love, but it paid the bills. Then my savings, eaten away by 1,000 unexpected emergencies. Then my friendships, one by one, slipping through the cracks like sand through broken fingers. It's strange how people love you when you shine, but vanish when your light flickers. I used to have structure. Wake up, coffee, commute, deadlines, fake laughs, paycheck, weekend beers, repeat. It wasn't happiness, but it was familiar. It was survival, until the storm came. And unlike Hollywood movies, real storms don't give you dramatic warnings. They don't arrive with thunder. They seep into your life, quietly, stealing piece after piece until one day, you open your eyes and realize you're gone. Quote, sometimes you don't notice how broken you are until someone asks you how you're doing, and you have no answer. I lost my confidence first, then my sense of control, then my worth, and then, finally, I lost myself. It was 2:14 a.m., the kind of hour where even the demons are tired. I was lying on the floor of a stranger's basement. The walls were damp. The air smelled like forgotten memories and dust. My phone had 3% battery, and not a single number in it felt like someone I could call. I stared at the cracked ceiling. A single spider crawled across the drywall, oblivious to my existence. And that's when it hit me. No one is coming. No cavalry. No miracle. No dramatic rescue. Just me. And the terrifying part wasn't that I was alone. It was that I always had been. I had distracted myself for years, with noise, with people, with productivity, but in that silence, lying on that floor, stripped of everything, I finally heard the voice I had ignored all my life. Mine. Sometimes the darkest place is where your brightest light is born. Those words didn't come from a book. They came from somewhere deep, somewhere primal, somewhere real. I had two options: let that floor become my grave, or move. Not sprint, not run, just move. So I did. I sat up. My spine cracked from the cold stiffness. My hands were shaking, not from fear, but from the weight of the decision I had just made. To stand. You don't understand what a miracle standing is until it becomes your rebellion. Every muscle in my body protested. My mind screamed, "What's the point?" But I stood anyway. Not because I knew what was next. Not because I had a plan. But because rock bottom wasn't the end, it was the beginning. Quote, rock bottom isn't a death sentence. It's the birthplace of unfiltered truth. And the truth was brutal. I had abandoned myself long before life abandoned me. All those years I spent pretending, performing, pleasing. I thought I was building a life. Turns out I was building a cage. But now I had nothing left to protect. No image to maintain. No ego to feed. Just me. And for the first time, that had to be enough. So I walked out of that basement, out of that version of me, out of that lie, I didn't know where I was going. I just knew I couldn't stay. Every journey begins with a lie you stop telling yourself. Mine was simple. I'm okay. I wasn't okay. I was drowning in silence, suffocating in regret, and burning with shame. But somehow, that fire didn't destroy me. It lit a match. Quote, "The moment you admit you're not okay is the moment you begin to heal." I didn't have money. I didn't have a support system. I didn't even have clean clothes. But I had breath, and I had fight, and I had a spark, the smallest, dimmest spark, but it was there. They don't tell you this, but survival is not glamorous. It's not inspirational speeches and transformation montages. It's waking up on a stranger's couch with a sore back and still choosing to send one more job application. It's standing in front of the mirror, looking like hell, and saying, "We're not done yet." That night in the basement, that was my rebirth, the death of the illusion, the beginning of something raw, uncertain, but real. No more pretending, no more smiling for others, no more surviving just to exist. This was the start of me becoming. Part 2, the first step hurts. Do you know what it truly means to rebuild from ashes? Not just physically, but mentally, emotionally, and spiritually? To walk into the world with nothing but a trembling will and eyes that have cried too many silent nights? I do. Imagine stepping into a job interview with a shirt that once belonged to someone else, pants too loose to feel like your own, and shoes that squeak with every uncertain step. You sit there, try to appear composed while your stomach screams from hunger and your soul aches from rejection. You smile politely. You nod respectfully. But deep inside, you're fighting a war no one can see. That is pain. But that pain, it's also fire. And I began to realize pain and purpose often were the same disguise. Every single step I took forward was a battlefield, not against the world, but against my own doubts, my own fears, my own ghosts whispering, "You can't do this." People love to say, "Time heals all wounds." But let me be honest with you, time doesn't heal. Time tests. It waits, quietly watching to see if you'll fold or fight. It watches to see if you're willing to walk barefoot over broken glass just for a shot at feeling whole again. Time doesn't heal you, it reveals you. And what it revealed in me, a side I never knew existed. When you've lost everything, when you've tasted rock bottom with both hands, you become dangerous, not to others, but to every excuse that ever held you back. Fear? That vanished. Pride? Already shattered. What was left was something raw, primal, and unshakable. I no longer feared rejection. I welcomed it. Each no was fuel. Each door slammed in my face became wind in my lungs. Every insult hurled my way, a challenge, and every tear I shed in silence, a sharpening stone carving out the version of me the world wasn't ready for. When you're walking through hell, don't stop. That quote wasn't just a cliche, it was my battle cry. Because if hell is what I had to walk through to reach freedom, then hell better get ready for the storm I was bringing. I remember one day, my body aching, my spirit tired, my pockets empty. I passed by a gym. Not a luxury gym with mirrors and neon signs. No, it was run down. The sign was faded. The door creaked. It looked forgotten, but something about it called me. I pushed the door open. The man behind the counter looked up with raised eyebrows. He sized me up, my ragged clothes, my hollow eyes. He probably thought I was lost, but what he didn't know was I wasn't lost. For the first time in months, I was exactly where I needed to be. That place didn't smell like lavender or a lemon cleaner. It reeked of sweat, pain, iron, and dreams held together by grit. No judgment, no polished smiles, just raw effort echoing in every corner. It was ugly. It was loud. It was real. And it became my battlefield. That gym didn't just become a place to move weights. It became my therapy, my church, my proving ground. Every rep I pushed wasn't just muscle, it was memory. Every drop of sweat wasn't just exertion, it was exorcism. I wasn't building a body, I was rebuilding belief. I didn't have a trainer. I didn't have fancy supplements. What I had was pain, and I turned that into power. Every time I looked into the mirror of that gym, I didn't just see a broken man trying to recover. I saw a warrior in the making, a man learning to fight back with something more than fists, with focus. Your body hears everything your mind says. Train both. There were days I wanted to quit. My body screamed. My lungs burned. My hands bled. But something kept me coming back. Not because it was easy, but because it hurt. And in that hurt, I found a strange kind of healing. I wasn't chasing abs or trophies. I was chasing silence, the kind that comes when your mind stops spinning and your past stops shouting. You see, the first step out of rock bottom doesn't come with applause. It comes with pain, deep, soul-wrenching, heart-cracking pain. But if you can survive that first step, the second one becomes possible. Not easier, just possible. I didn't win every day. Hell, most days I lost. But I showed up. And sometimes, showing up is all it takes to start the momentum. I remember a specific night, walking home from the gym, soaked in sweat, body trembling. I passed by a window and saw my reflection. For the first time, I didn't just see someone surviving. I saw someone rising. Quote, "The smallest step in the right direction can end up being the biggest step of your life." That night, I didn't cry. Not because I wasn't broken anymore, but because I finally saw that being broken wasn't the end. It was just part of the process. Each crack in my armor was a place for the light to get in. And now, I had a mission, not just to survive, but to become. Part 3, the breakthrough isn't loud. You think your comeback will be loud? That it'll come with fireworks, viral posts, dramatic speeches, and people lining up to cheer for you? Let me shatter that illusion right now. The real breakthrough, the one that actually matters, is quiet. It doesn't arrive with a roar. It slips in almost unnoticed. It shows up on a random Tuesday morning when you wake up, and for the first time in forever, your chest doesn't feel heavy. Your mind doesn't instantly replay every mistake. Your heart doesn't ache before your feet touch the floor. That's progress. It's not Instagrammable. It's not a quote on a pretty background. It's raw, private, underrated, unseen. Your real comeback is the moment you stand in front of the mirror and don't wince. When you look into your own eyes and no longer see shame or disgust, you see someone worth rooting for. It's the moment you go an entire day without breaking down in a bathroom stall. It's when you finally sleep through the night without nightmares chasing you into the dark. Progress doesn't shout. It whispers, "Keep going." That whisper saved my life more than once. People expect transformation to be cinematic. It's not. It's routine. It's boring. It's the tiny choices, the water instead of whiskey, the early morning workout instead of another hour of scrolling, the apology you give instead of letting pride win. It's the discipline you build when no one's clapping. The world didn't notice when I changed, but I did, and that was enough. Eventually, something strange began to happen. People, quietly, carefully, started coming to me. Friends, strangers, colleagues I hadn't spoken to in years. They'd seen something in me shift, not in what I said, but in how I moved, in how I showed up. I didn't preach. I didn't post motivational quotes or flex success. I just listened, and then I spoke, not as someone who had all the answers, but as someone who had bled, crawled, fallen, and still stood back up. Strength isn't about how much you lift. It's about how much you carry and still move forward. And oh, did I carry a lot. I carried years of guilt, regret, insecurity, shame, doubt, but I didn't let them define me. I let them refine me. I started coaching others, not professionally at first, just conversations, late night texts, coffee shop meetups, walks in the park that turned into therapy sessions, people looking for a flicker of hope. I gave them mine. The feeling I got from helping someone else take that first shaky step, better than any stage I've ever stood on, better than any applause I'd ever craved. Because I knew what that step cost. I knew what it meant. Every person I helped reminded me of me. And helping them rise helped me stay up. Funny thing is, people will doubt you. Not when you're failing, but when you're climbing. They'll watch your growth from the shadows and tell themselves lies to feel better. He got lucky. She had help. They had it easier than me. But none of them were there the night I screamed into my pillow because I couldn't afford dinner. None of them saw me walk 10 miles in a snowstorm to save $3 in bus fare. None of them held my hand when I couldn't stop shaking from the panic of opening an overdue bill. They weren't there for the sweat, the tears, the heartbreaks, the breakdowns behind closed doors. They didn't see the moments I nearly quit but didn't. The people who judge your rise weren't around for your fall. I used to waste energy trying to convince them, trying to explain myself. But now, I don't owe anyone my story. I own it. Let them think it was easy. Let them assume I was handed a miracle. Because I know the truth. The truth is, I clawed my way out of a life that nearly killed me. Not physically, but emotionally, spiritually, psychologically. I was alive, but I wasn't living. I was breathing, but I wasn't existing. I was surrounded by noise, but haunted by silence. Breaking free from that? That's louder than any applause could ever be. The silence became my training ground. And here's another hard truth. Healing isn't linear. Even after the breakthrough, I stumbled. I had nights where I doubted everything again. There were moments when I felt like a fraud, coaching others while still battling my own demons. But I kept going, because healing isn't about perfection. It's about intention. It's about choosing to rise every single time life tries to push you back down. There's something incredibly powerful about being underestimated. It gives you a certain freedom. No one expects much from you. And that's exactly when you build your empire, quietly, brick by brick behind the scenes. Quote, "Be so rooted in your growth that their opinions can't shake you." I stopped chasing loud victories. I started celebrating silent wins, brushing my teeth and getting out the door when depression told me to stay in bed. Win, smiling at a stranger even when my heart felt heavy. Win, choosing kindness when I was the one hurting. Win, these weren't moments the world celebrated, but they were mine, and they added up, day by day, step by step, breath by breath. until one day I looked around and I wasn't in survival mode anymore. I was living. I had built something, not a mansion, not a media empire, but a life. A meaningful, messy, beautiful, honest life. And I did it not with noise, but with purpose. Part 4. Never waste the fall. I used to ask myself in the dark, desperate nights, why me? Why did I have to lose everything? Why did I have to feel abandoned, unseen, broken beyond repair? But the more I walked through the fire, the more my question changed. Now I ask, why not me? Why shouldn't I be the one to crash so hard I finally woke up? Why shouldn't I be the one who learned the hard way that survival isn't the same as living? Because here's the truth no one wants to say out loud. The fall was my teacher. It stripped me of the masks, tore away the illusions, ripped apart the ego I had mistaken for self-worth. It burned me down to nothing, but not to destroy me, to rebuild me. The fall doesn't break you. It reveals what's worth keeping. I stopped waiting for grand answers. Instead, I started appreciating the smallest, most sacred things. Every damn sunrise became a symbol that I had made it one more day. I hugged people tighter because now I understood what it felt like to be untouched for months. I smiled wider, not because everything was perfect, but because I had seen what it looked like when nothing was. The fall changed my senses. I listened deeper, not to respond, but to connect, not to fix, but to understand. Because when you've been at rock bottom, you recognize pain in someone's silence. You learn to read between the forced smiles and heavy sighs. You stop judging. You start holding space. Rock bottom didn't just strip me bare. It reintroduced me to myself. No filters, no performance, just real, raw, relentless me. And guess what? It could do the same for you, but only if you let it. Most people are afraid of falling. They build walls, fake strength, numb themselves just to avoid the crash. But the crash is sacred. Your scars are not signs of weakness. They're proof that you survived. Every scar on my soul is a line in my story, a map of where I've been, a reminder of what I've faced, a warning to never go back. One scar for every lie I believed about myself. One scar for every moment I stayed silent when I should have screamed. One scar for every time I thought I wasn't enough. I wear them like armor now. And the wild thing is, once I embraced my truth, once I stopped hiding the pain, I started attracting others who were on the same path. I met fighters, people who had lost parents, jobs, dreams, themselves. People who had faced betrayal, depression, homelessness, illness. People whose hearts had been shattered by life, but they still showed up. I met warriors who bled quietly but smiled loudly. Dreamers who had tasted rock bottom and still painted skies in their minds. We didn't pretend. We shared stories. We cried in rooms where no one flinched. We laughed with the kind of joy that only comes after surviving hell. And in those spaces, those brutally honest, beautifully broken spaces, I found something the world never taught me. We don't rise alone. We rise together. The world tells you success is a solo race, that you have to compete, be stronger, be smarter, be better. But healing? Healing is communal. It's sitting with another human who whispers, "I've been there too," and realizing you're not as alone as you thought. We became each other's anchors when the waves got too wild. Each other's reminders that it's okay to rest. Okay to fall apart. Okay to begin again. Because healing isn't linear. Some days you'll dance. Some days you'll crawl. But when you walk beside people who've bled like you have, you don't quit. You rise, slowly but surely. Broken people don't just rebuild themselves, they build bridges for others to cross. And that's what I started doing. I no longer saw my pain as a burden. I saw it as a blueprint for connection, a blueprint for strength, a blueprint for transformation. You know what the fall gave me? Clarity. I stopped chasing validation. I stopped clinging to people who never clapped when I won. I stopped shrinking to make others comfortable. I started owning my voice. I started saying no. I started drawing boundaries so clear they echoed. Because once you've been in the dark long enough, you don't dim your light for anyone anymore. Now, when people ask me how I became so grounded, so calm, so fierce all at once, I smile. Not because I have some secret, but because I've been to the bottom and I didn't waste it. I used it. Quote, don't just survive your fall. Turn it into your foundation. And I'm telling you now, you can do the same. Not in a fairy tale, perfect ending kind of way, but in the messy, brutal, breathtaking way real growth happens. Let the fall break what needs to be broken. Let it shatter your illusions. Let it crush the lies you believed for too long. But don't waste it. Don't numb it. Don't hide it. Don't run from it. Use it to rise, to become, to remember who you were before the world told you who to be. Because the fall is not the end. It's the beginning of the version of you that no storm can touch. Part 5. Now I rise, so do you. Today, I don't just wake up, I rise. Not in ego, not in arrogance, but in something unshakable. Purpose. I no longer walk with the weight of who I used to be. I walk with the wisdom of who I've become. I'm not just healed. I'm powerful. Not just recovered. Reborn. Once upon a time, I lay broken on a basement floor, whispering prayers I didn't believe in anymore. Now I stand in rooms filled with survivors, warriors, people who thought they were too far gone, and I lead. I run a foundation now, not for headlines, not for claps, but for them, the ones still trying to take that first breath after trauma, the ones who stare into the dark, waiting for a flicker of hope. I help them find it, because someone once said to me, nobody's coming to save you. So I became that somebody for others. One step won't take you where you want to go, but it will leave you where you don't want to stay. And that's the line I say to everyone I meet. Not because it's poetic, but because it's true. That one step, it doesn't fix everything, but it breaks the curse of staying stuck. And that's where power begins. People ask me, how did you build this life? I tell them I didn't build it all at once. I built it one painful, terrifying, defiant step at a time. No miracles, no shortcuts, just momentum. You don't climb mountains in leaps. You climb them in inches. Sweaty, shaky, tear-soaked inches. And now, as I speak into this world, maybe you're listening from your own kind of bottom. Maybe your soul feels tired. Not the kind of tired sleep can fix, but the deep kind. The kind that makes you question your worth, your future, your very existence. Maybe your dreams feel dusty, like forgotten relics sitting on a shelf in the back of your mind. Maybe your fire has dimmed, not gone out, but buried under years of disappointment. If that's you, listen to me carefully. You're not broken. You're being rebuilt. Piece by messy, magnificent piece. Stronger, braver, louder. The world tried to quiet you, to shame you, to tell you that your fall defined you. But the fall was never the end. It was the first sentence of your next chapter. The people who rise don't rise because they have it easy. They rise because they refuse to stay where pain left them. You don't need to see the whole path, just the next right step. Let me say that again for the part of you that still doubts. You don't have to climb the whole mountain today. Just find the courage for one more step, then another, and another. That's how giants are made. Not in stadiums, not on stages, but in silence, in private pain, in choices no one claps for. That's how you will rise. I've seen it in their eyes, the people I coach. That flicker of disbelief slowly melting into belief. I've watched trembling hands turn into clenched fists of purpose. I've watched someone go from "I can't do this" to "Watch me," and now I'm watching you. Right here, right now. You may not know it, but the fact that you're reading this, the fact that you're still here, that means you've already taken the first step. And that step, that's sacred. Don't downplay it. Don't rush it. Don't compare it to anyone else's journey. Own it. You earned this pain. Now use it as fuel. Let it guide you, not define you. Let it sharpen you, not silence you. Let it become the reason you never go back. The comeback is always stronger than the setback, if you choose to rise. I'll be honest with you, it won't be easy. There will be nights that feel like relapses. There will be mornings where you forget who you're becoming. There will be days when the weight of your past tries to sit on your chest. But now you know how to breathe through it. You know what survival costs and what living demands. And the next time life knocks you down, you won't beg for rescue. You'll roll up your sleeves and say, "Not again. Not this time." Because you're not who you used to be. You've tasted your own resilience. You've seen what's possible when you don't quit. So here's my final truth. You are the hero you've been waiting for. The guide, the fire, the foundation. The world doesn't need another perfect success story. It needs more real ones. The kind that bleed, crack, rebuild, and shine anyway. So stand up, even if your legs shake, even if your heart races, even if you don't know what comes next. Stand up and take that one more step, because now I rise. So do you. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time.